Hi guys, welcome back to Spiritual. So today we're going to talk about karma a little bit deeper, but more so in the shadow element and just really getting yourself charged and ready for a shadow period. Shadow, whether that be a collective shadow period, shadow learning, or just trying to work on some important things in your personal life. So to get started, if you are new to this channel, I do a little three-card reading before I actually start talking about the topic of the video, just to do like a confirmation of the energy. And again, I don't pre-select these cards or anything. I just do the reading right before I start filming and just kind of go with it, just so we can get, yeah, again, a confirmation for what we're experiencing. So I know I've seen a lot of my friends going through some karmic situations with specific people. Now it's usually more so for like the lover's card, but this isn't necessarily just a lover situation. Although it could be a loved one, like a loved family member or a friend or something, somebody personal to you that's kind of been causing a lot of like havoc, and it's you've been going through a lot of like karmic situations, like really deep karmic learning, and really what we're intentionally trying to do is break karmic chains and things that really hold us back in society as a whole. But with this karmic learning, there's a lot of excuse me, just really important things that we have to learn about ourselves. I can't really describe anything in particular, but we really learn a lot about ourselves through other people, and going through these karmic situations allows us to really put more self-worth on ourselves. um, that was a little redundant, but just basically because we do a lot of self-doubt, and really having to go through trials and tribulations with other people, it really gives us a lot more respect and value for ourselves, because it forces us to prioritize ourselves, which normally, most of us are usually pretty good at it, but normally, we don't generally do that. We usually try to help other people and prioritize other people, but having us face these situations really makes us, understand a little deeper about ourselves and what's actually important, that we can't really help everybody even though we really want to. And so going through those karmic situations, you've earned a lot of, success in like your business because you prioritized yourself. You were really great at the prioritizing. And but a lot of it, the earned success is really more about the karmic learning. You don't really see like a whole lot of, excuse me, I need water today. Financial success. One sec. Well, maybe financial. It's more so leaning towards like the karmic learning, and just being able to organize yourself, prioritize yourself, and just get things going and flowing and be in that abundant state. So basically, I don't know how many few videos back, but I did um kind of stepping into your main character energy, and that's basically what a lot of us spiritual folk have really been, like the deep spiritual folk have really been doing, because we've had to go through a lot of karmic lessons, and through the karmic lessons we learned self-value, self-worth, and it's basically the time is to prioritize it. Main character energy is going to allow you to help others by helping yourself, basically, is what I'm trying to get at. So a lot of that karmic learning was trying to set you up for that. So there is a lot of loss and pleasure though through all of the karmic learning, because it's like repeated cycles, and you really, through your intuition, you understand that you've repeated cycles, and knowing that gets you even more frustrated. So it's kind of created like this little uh stunt in like your creative flow, your creative energy. So maybe just take knowledge of that and just try to like recharge and reset, and just work on like your creative energy, and just making that like even a time to do research, and just try to see what's out there and try new things, so you can get your creative energy flowing again. Just get something to activate it by seeing it. So I hope that reading resonates. I thought that was pretty interesting, considering we're talking about like recharging and all the karmic lessons that we've been going through, because collectively we really do experience a lot on the same wavelength. I see this with a lot of my friends on Facebook, but like generally, like, you're going to go through the same emotional triggers and traumas and experiences as other people because social media is so prominent in society. Wow, I don't know what's up with my throat today. I guess what I really wanted to focus on was allowing yourself to take notice of this energy, understand this energy, the karmic shadow period, and just really understanding what shadow learning and shadow energy is really going to activate, because it's going to create a lot of stir up in your immediate life, like whether that be relationships, friendships, just you on a personal, like, solo level. Like, there's gonna be things stirred up in your life when you go and you're ready to tackle on, like, the shadow stuff, like whether that be like facing addiction, abuse, trauma, or just like neglect. A lot of different things. There's so many different things that we face through shadow learning. But basically, you want to understand that a lot of these things you're going to get triggered, but it's really trying to respond and not react towards your triggers, your emotional triggers, and just getting in tune with the just the energy of being like, hey, well, what can I learn from this situation? What can I learn from what's going on in this experience? Like, how can I grow as a person by going through this? So, and a lot of people don't really want to experience life that way and don't really want to understand it on that deep core level. And I get it. I totally do. Because who wants to go through redundancy and know the universe is basically testing them? Oh my gosh, my throat today. But yeah, like, basically who wants to know that they're being tested by the universe? Like, nobody wants to know that. It doesn't make the experience easier, better, or anything. Like, but if you try to change your mindset where you're really kind of focused in on understanding that, it can make things become easier, because you'll have this you'll get out of the victim mindset where you're not victim. You're not being victimized by the world around you anymore. And when you take heed of that, when you take knowledge of that, and that's regardless of you actually being a victim or not. Like, if you can take that charge and take that power back from, like, whoever took that from you, or whoever you gave that away to, or whatever it is, you can basically face it and understand it on a deeper level, and make it a tool, and make it like a strength versus like something that actually like makes you react. So that's the core element of shadow learning and shadow embracing your shadow, because there's things that you should still embrace in your shadow and understand and respect, because some things, they have, like, I guess, personal, like, societal stigmas or something like that. Like, people will look at one thing, and because they don't understand it, they just demonize it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, like, just because, people are not really understanding that side of you doesn't necessarily make it like a shadow aspect. So there's a lot of beauty in darkness too. So remember that and understand that, because that's like the most important thing to really utilize and understand when going through shadow learning. And it's going to be a lot of your inner strength is going to come through that understanding, because when you respect duality in its core foundation, and realize that you have to go through hardships to understand and grow strength and things like that. Like, people don't go to a gym. I think this is the best analogy I can use. I'm getting better at analogies, I promise you, and the word. Eh, but like, you don't go to a gym and expect yourself to get like beefed up overnight. Like, that doesn't happen. And if you did, like, there would probably either be more people at the gym or way less people at the gym, because it's like, well, what does it matter if I could just go lift the weight and then I'm gonna have like a six pack again? Like, nobody would honestly care. It would be weird. But, people don't go with these expectations, these high expectations of themselves, or things around them, they try to keep a realistic approach when going through things and taking slow steps and steady steps. So that's basically the beginning of the shadow learning and what I wanted to talk about. But there's things that there's different periods of shadow learning too, because we go through shadow periods collectively, and you can see this when most people in your immediate life or just in general are experiencing the same sort of like traumas or triggers, and that is a collective shadow. And then there is like individual shadow where you're going to face your own traumas, and you can do this like face head on. Most people actually do, just because it's something they're called to do. But you don't necessarily have, not everybody is going to do that. So it's just something to remember, is that you put the amount of weight on you that you can actually carry, and psychologically, because a lot of these things can be pretty heavy. So it's just something to think about. But I'm trying to look at my little notebook of things. So energy triggers and overstimulations can be a big part of like your shadow period, because and why I actually bring this up is it's not necessarily to do with your it's not necessarily, that's not your shadow itself, although I do think it has some sort of spiritual attachments to your shadow. It's it's more so of understanding that like when you're going through shadow period, when you're learning to um experience life differently and just try to work on yourself, a lot of these things can come up even heavier when you're going through the learning process and you're trying to like change and grow some things about yourself. Those triggers can really come up, and it's something to really understand, is not allowing yourself to get overstimulated by the process, because you can take on a lot and then become overstimulated by the world around you and then basically blow up. So you don't want to do that. Nobody, like, that's not like, you don't want to get triggered so bad because you're trying to work on so many different things all at once, and so you basically boil up. That is like, that is the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish. So take small steps, allow yourself to feel, emotions and energy, but maybe do that privately, away from other people, separately, so you can kind of like learn a little bit about better responses, being able to respond better. I think that's what I was trying to get at. And then there's karmic interactions. This is just me drinking water, getting ready for this one. No. Seriously, though. Karmic situations, karmic learning, karmic relationships, karmic friendships, even. There are these, like, instances in your life where you're going to experience the worst out of somebody, and it's going to really activate a lot of really important characteristics about you, because it's going to make yourself protective. It's going to allow you to reevaluate your value, your self-worth, and it's going to allow you to think about your interactions with other people more clearly and vividly. So you're not just handing everybody yourself on a platter and basically being like, here, this is what I'm going to serve you. Um, Please take care of it, and if you don't, I'm going to resent you. Like, we go through these karmic situations with other people for very important reasons, and like I said that I think at the beginning of the video. So it's this is the most vital, important aspect of shadow learning, is because basically everything's always going to boil back down to social interactions with other people, because there's other people we got to deal with on this planet, right? So you're going to learn a lot more about like, trying to keep up with society. You're going to learn about like jealousy, um, lust, love, money, all sorts of different things. You're going to learn a lot. on this planet. But the thing is that karmic situations, especially when you're an empath, when you're a very highly intuitive person, it can feel very victimizing if you don't have the right mindset and you don't understand things on a core level and I guess reiterate that like over and over again in your head, so you basically understand that you're not being like afflicted. Yeah, there you go. Afflicted with like all of these traumas because you're a victim. Like you don't want to have that mindset. Like the victim mindset is what you're trying to get out of anyway. But like having that intuitive intuitivity. Maybe I should stop with the words today. But having that intuition is really going to, it can really trigger a lot of those traumas because you're like, well, why do I have to go through this situation, especially over again when you're like relearning a karmic situation that you've already experienced and it comes back right around just to test you and poke you and see if you've actually learned the lesson. It's like, oh, it's so frustrating. Trust me, I get frustrated too. I am perfect. But like you get like even a little bit more sensitivity from understanding that you're going through a karmic situation with somebody who's it's maybe it's not ideally them that's so important, but you grow an attachment. I think it has a lot to do with trauma bonding, let's be real. But I really think that we grow like attachments to these things through our intuition because we know that there's an important situation going on, and so we really overvalue the situation and then we grow an emotional attachment to it. I love you, but it's okay. We all do it. Um, it happens. But like that's like the trauma bond experience is getting attachments to like people, places, things that, are redundant and you cannot save these people and they're going through their experiences and you met through this interaction on purpose. That is the most frustrating part of the experience, but it's true and it's something that you have to evaluate and do some deep writing, deep journaling on because that's going to allow you to evaluate the things that you're relearning. Because if you're relearning them, there's obviously something there, and there's something that you got to consider and think about and accept about yourself. Because maybe not necessarily accept, but like accept that it's true and work on adapting and changing and making things better. So I hope I'm trying to cover as much as I possibly can in like a short video because I don't want this to go too long. But I just want everybody to get ready for like the shadow period because I know there's a heavy shadow period between I believe September 9th is when it starts, so right around the corner. And then it lasts until October 2nd. That's Mercury Retrograde. And we all know that that's when our exes come back, situations come back, and we just get the bear gets poked. So we're trying to take this with a better mindset and get ourselves mentally prepared for not isolating, but going into hermit mode. It's the October, it's autumn season. We usually go into hermit mode during these times anyway, but you want to get mentally and physically prepared for actually working on these things on a hardcore level and actually really being real and honest and raw about yourself to yourself so you can face these things head on. Because we're going through a heavy shadow period. I already said that, but it's going to be important to understand these things like right now, because if you prepare for them now, then they won't be so debilitating. They won't be so heavy when you are actually facing them later. So maybe do like some journaling, get your crystals charged, maybe get a little witch kit prepared and just kind of be ready to recharge and focus in on yourself and really hone down on some important things because there's some deep stuff that we have to face, like between sexual trauma, excuse me, um, okay, you know what? I don't even want to list all the traumas that we're going to be going through and reevaluating because there's a long list. But this next shadow period is going to be pretty heavy for a lot of people. So just maybe take knowledge of that and get yourself again prepared energetically, physically, emotionally, and financially. So whatever you got going on, maybe start a garden or something, like a real garden, and yeah, fight the inflation. Because we need to work on our productivity and our self empowerment anyway, and a lot of that does come from farming. And taking care of ourselves. I know that sounds silly, but it's true. Um, Especially when you grow your own food. There's a really an underrated sense of value that you get. By underrated, I mean that people don't really understand that value you get. I hope that made sense. I don't know, but I hope today's video prepares you at least for the shadow period coming up and allows you to kind of understand a little bit deeper about why you're actually doing this because I know sometimes it can get frustrating, like wanting to actually work on yourself and become a better person so you will experience life a little easier, because that's the goal here. We're trying to experience things easier. We're not trying to like be a certain type of person or some sparkly sunshine rainbow of bullshit, but we're actually trying to learn and work on ourselves for ourselves so we're not so traumatized by ourselves. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, work on the journaling, work on your triggers and acknowledging them and why you just went through all of those experiences over and over again. I love you. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them in the comments section down below, and obviously don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Bye.